To the Times. Nick, apparently hard-right voters are hormonal, and the EU is worried that your cycles are going to synchronise at the next elections.
Yeah, this is absurd. I mean, hormonal voters could hand hard-right victory, EU chief fears, which is ironic because he's talking about fear in the piece. So it's Josep Borrell, the EU's foreign policy chief, did this little speech in the Italian Alps, as one does, and he came out with this idea that people are voting on fear. So in Europe, apparently, we'll enter a survival mode based on fear, and that may promote the ascent or strengthening of the extreme right. And that's why the hormonal headline. So it's an absurd attempt to categorise very valid concerns as fear hormonal. Is ridiculous, really, because it's quite a rational concern to be concerned about mass immigration in Europe.
It's gaslighting, isn't it?
Of course it's gaslighting. It's ridiculous. I mean, what we need from our leaders in Europe is to take the issues of immigration and of fertility very, very seriously. But instead, what we get is nonsense like this. I'll just give you a little stat, because I was talking to Paul Morland about this, who's a demographics expert. If Britain continues at its current birth rate, by 2080, it will have 38% foreign-born people, which is not first-generation immigrants or anything. It's people literally born in a different country. And you just say, OK, is that necessarily good for a cohesive society? If we continue to decline and hit South Korean type of birth rates, which is currently 0.8, we would have 50%, 54% foreign-born people in the country by 2083. So it just gives you an idea. So all of Europe is looking at stats like that and this kind of discussion, and they're saying, is this good for, do we want that in all the social problems therein, right? And there's lots of other problems, the ageing population and so on. So there are very serious concerns across Europe, and the idea of saying that it's a fear response based on hormones is just absurd.
Yeah, to call it irrational as well makes...
highly irrational.
Makes out that as if a fear response is never rational, which you can't tell. It's just, instead of arguing the point, which, you know, I'm a big fan of argue the point, not all the other things on that argumentative pyramid of techniques. And it's one of the techniques. He's finding a different way of attacking instead of addressing the issue.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing. He makes it sound like it's my dad talking to my mum after she's slightly done something wrong during the menopause. But
she gone right-wing?
No, no, she hasn't gone right-wing. She's just gone doolally. We might not want this, but he does. I mean, this guy's a Spanish socialist. He's very much in line with the EU values and the open borders, all that sort of stuff. The statistics you were talking about are wet dream stuff for guys like this. This is what they would love to see. They would love just Europe to be one place where everyone lives, no real identity, no real patriotism, just land. We all live together and everyone gets on well, with the occasional terrorist attack, I'd imagine. But it's never going to happen. It's never, ever going to happen. Nick, it feels like you desperately want to say something to me. No. My brain is just literally going, those stats I gave are if we keep our current dependency ratio. I'm worried about some weird nerd on X tweeting me, because the point is we've got this problem with, you know, looking after elderly people and all these kind of things and keeping our economies going. That's why I was talking about it. And immigration replaces birth rates, so that's why people are right to be worried about immigration. But sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and just the thing that I was obsessing about in my head is your entire point still would have made sense if you just said dream.
Yeah, why?
For some reason.
What did I say?
Now you make him apologise.
I'm not going to repeat.
Oh, right, did I? I didn't even know I said that.
It would be a dream. Doesn't matter what type of dream.
Yeah.
Most dreams are
Thanks,
good.
Steve.
Can I make one more very better point than I've made, unless you want to say something, Paul?
I don't want to say anything.
I forgot, because this is key. This idea that it's the far right as well is actually quite ridiculous, because there was an argument that there was a kind of irrational, neurotic purity instinct amongst the far right. You know, Hitler famously worried about germs and things, and then that can escalate in extreme cases to where you genocide entire peoples because of this extreme purity. Talk about, you know, Jonathan Haidt's moral foundations theory, that the right is associated with the purity instinct, right? But the irony now is that the so-called far right is defending Jewish people from anti-Semitism, from people who've come in who hate Israel. So I don't think you know, his fears about the far right are also kind of obsolete, if you ask me.
I agree. I agree. Right.